yeah. Greetings, family. Oh, welcome to the Sister Shanice Show. I want to thank each and every one of you who've been waiting patiently for us to start the show. As you know, being on the continent, we do have some challenges that we may need to overcome.
Who've been waiting patiently for us
tonight,
to start the show.
Get rid of that echo. There we go. And tonight the challenge was.
We do have some challenges that we may need to overcome. We've been waiting patiently for us tonight.
My apologies.
Get rid of that echo.
Another browser is open.
Yes, I've got to find which it is. I've got about 3 different browsers. There we go. Get rid of that one. That might be it. Okay, right. I've closed that browser. Hopefully I don't have any more on. And here we go. Greetings, family, and welcome to the Sister Shanice Show. As you can see, we've got Dr. Abu in the house. Rise up, Dr. Abu.
Ashe, Vodum.
Oh, we can't hear you. Rise up, Dr. Abu.
I said Ashe, Vodum.
Anyone can't hear you?
No, we can hear him.
Prophet, can you hear him? Or is me on the can't hear? You can hear him.
Can't hear me.
I can hear Abu.
You can't hear me. Well, rise up, Dr. Abu. Everybody can hear you. Rise up, Prophet.
Yeah, all types and greetings in the name of the creative force of the universe. So many people being that which greater than ourselves. Right, many names. Autonomy, Kulu, Kwame Blafashe.
Okay. I found the problem.
I can hear Abu.
You can't hear me.
That's why I turn it down, because something in the background.
Rise up, Prophet.
Sorry. Well, the gremlins are out tonight, and my internet is going slow, which always happens after a blackout.
Many names.
Okay, I found the problem.
Who is that? Well, on there. Right, get rid of that. Okay, I think I've got a couple of browsers open, you see, a couple of windows, and I think one of them had, yeah, so I think I might have solved it. My apologies. Welcome. First of all, Dr. Abu.
Vodum family, Vodum all the time. Rise up, Asheo.
Asheo. Rise up, Prophet duty.
Greetings in the name of the creating force of the universe, the omnipotent omnipresence, omniscience, creator that which is greater than ourselves, who has many names. Olodumare, Nkulukulo, Kwame Blafo Ashe, Mungu Onyemeja, Amen Ra, Ashe. Muduba Fu, Awo Baba wa.
Ashe. Hey, Asheo. Rise up, Brothe Dulani. Welcome back.
Greetings.
Mahat Hotep, and greetings to everyone. I greet you all in the honorable spirit of our great and mighty African ancestors. It's an honor to be here once again to share our views on our impending struggle.
Welcome. We certainly look forward to another really interesting and deeply insightful discussion tonight. I want to welcome everyone in the chat. I want to apologize, first of all, for the delay. We had a blackout. We had a power outage. 15 minutes before 8 p.m. GMT time, the light and the power just gone. We say, oh no. And the thing is, when the power go, you just don't know how long it gone for. You don't know if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half hour, or an hour. Well, tonight it was about 45 minutes, so we just waited till the top of the hour to come in. But thank you so much for your patience. As you come in the house, please give us a thumbs up. Please give us a like. Would much appreciate love. Also, greet us in your native tongue, in your mother language, you know. Give us some big ups in our mother tongue language. We much appreciate that as well, and tell us where you're listening to us from. So I can see we've got Sister Emily in the house saying greetings, African family. Greetings right back at you, Sister Emily. We've got Africa Queen in the house. We've got Africamo in the house. Welcome in, Brother Dulani back as well. We've got Kimani in the house. Afrijamo saying greetings, Sister Shanice and panel watching from Ghana. We got Ghana in the house. Hey. And we've got Nduri in the house saying, how you doing? As you see, we all is well. And we've got JJ in the house. Rise up, JJ. We've got Lily in the house. Hey, Afrijamo saying, look, we've only got 3 likes so far. Come on, the people are free for like, you know, just give us a thumbs up, would much appreciate love. And, you know, I want to thank everyone for your patience. Hopefully people will start logging on again when they realize that we've actually got live. Needles and Nourishment in the house, listening in from the Gambia. Rise up, sis. We've also got Brother Lloyd in the house as well. Where are you listening in from, Brother Lloyd? Let us know. Rise up, Lady V as well. And Kimani saying, Akwaba. Hey, Akwaba, back at ya, my brother Kimani. Rising you up. Okay, so the family's coming in the house. As the family's coming in the house, I'm just going to quickly run around our wonderful, blacktastic panel and just ask them to let us know how they've been over the last strong. Rising up, first of all, Dr. Abu. What has the last strong been like for you, my brother?
Vudum, Brother Dulani.
Vudum.
Prophet Maduti.
What up, Vudum?
To you, Empress Shanice. Wolipa Vudum.
Hey,
well, I give thanks for life. I give thanks for life. Because many that was here yesterday is not here today. You know, and
true.
There's a lot of things that I could complain about, but I don't complain. You know, we as African people, we doesn't complain. We come in style, we come in vibration. We come in so we doesn't complain. You understand? So I give thanks.
We come with style.
Everything. We come with creativity. We come with liberty. But we doesn't complain. And this is what they have done to us over the years. You understand? You know, we compromise. We compromise, we comply, and we complain. None of that. We come to make demand. And this is what it's all about. Give thanks for life. Anna.
Rise up, Dr. Abu. Absolutely love that opening. Hey, we're not complaining. Hey, we come in style and pattern. We come in all different kind of fashion. So we still. We come with creativity. We come with science inventives. We come with everything. We love that one, the Dr. Abu. And you get some big up in the house for that. So rise up, King Kush in the house as well. Rising you up from Luton. Afrijamo say, yes, Dr. Abu. Hey. Me like that one day. Rise up, Brother Dulani, our guest tonight on the resident panel. Rise up.
Greetings, Sister Shanice. Yes, this has been a fruitful, strong as usual for me, you know. I'm staying engaged and my hands full, you know, doing what I have to do, taking care of responsibility. I got 4 little young ones that I got to be, gosh, my hands are full. So I'm ever busy, you know, always doing things, creating things, projects, you know, serving the community the same way, you know, people still coming. people still dying, people still birthing. So it's still moving forward. So yeah, it's been fruitful, it's been productive for this week.
Wonderful, wonderful. Delighted to hear that. And 4 young soldiers coming up. Wow, wow, wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, and we have another one of our resident guests in the house today, none other than Prophet Maduti. Rise up, Prophet.
Yes, greetings, Empress Shanice and Dr. Abu and Brother Dulani. We give thanks for life, as Dr. Abu said. And we've lost some soldiers and soldieresses over this past week. And we remembered some of our fallen soldier and soldieresses that moved on to the ancestors this time last year, 2020. And we pour libation to them, and we remember them, and we don't forget them. Our beloved President Magufuli has moved on to the ancestors untimely, and we say salutation to those leaders that were working for the benefit of an African people. And so we're just here anyway, and we give thanks to them and with my brother them and my sister, and that hopefully we can disseminate some of our personal feelings about particular topics concerning reparations and reparatory justice, etc. Otep and Vudum.
Otep and Vudum, right back at you, Prophet. Thank you so much. Okay, we've got 150 family members in the house, so we're going to kick off with the topic in a very short while. You just remind me to mention, Prophet, that I'm going to drop an extra show this coming Monday night from 10 p.m. to midnight GMT time. Okay, and we're going to be looking at we're going to be supporting the call for an inquiry or an investigation, a thorough investigation into the death of President Magufuli. Yeah, and also his 10 of his top statesmen. So we're going to be asking the question, coincidence or foul play? Yeah, so family, put that in your diary this coming Monday night. Something I wanted to drop last Monday, but I didn't get any response soon enough, but I've had a couple of responses, so I'm going to drop that this coming Monday, 10 p.m. through to 12 midnight. We will never forget our wonderful statesman, President Magufuli, and we will be fully supporting him in any way that we can. And, we're calling for an inquiry and investigation into his death. We can't allow them to just keep killing our prophets and not don't say about it as an investigation.
We stand aside and look.
Hey, all right. So Africa Queen is messing up Brothe Dulani. We've got Happy Companion in the house. Check out his YouTube channel. He's saying rise up and hit the like button, subscribe and share. Thank you so much. Africa Queen is sending out enough respect to former President Magufuli and bigging up Prophet Maduti. Sister Young is greeting the family. Yes, Afrijamos sending greetings to you, Brothe Dulani, and asking when you're going to visit the continent. And Dr. Abu, it says soon. Good to hear. It's not easy with 4 children, but you say soon. Rise up, King Kush again. Rise up, my brother. So, as you know, family, this session today is going to be focusing on the topic of reparations. 400 plus. I want to years that plus having it as well. 400 plus years of enslavement. Are we due reparations? Now, we feel it's really important that we engage in this topic of discussion at what some might call a grassroots level. community level, because each and every one of us, you know, as Africans, need to have an overstanding, understanding, and Prophet will say circumference and parallelogram and
triangle stand.
Yeah, to do with reparations, because if we are not clear about this reparations agenda, then the powers that be are going to run amok and, you know, be telling us that they're giving us reparations because we don't know what it looks like. So we have to learn from our experiences of the past and make sure that we are the ones, as the people, as the descendants of those enslaved Africans, who are having the say about what reparations, what our expectations are in terms of reparations, what our ideological perspective is on reparations. If you were in tune last strong, you would have heard us begin that conversation, which largely focused on the repair side of reparations. We were, you know, talking about the fact that we've been, you know, as a result of our enslavement, the transatlantic so-called enslavement period, we've lost our language, lost our identity, lost our culture. You know, we've uprooted from our homeland. Most of us now don't even know whereabouts on the continent we're from. Those of us who are living in the diaspora, we don't know where on the continent we're from. We can do the DNA analysis, but it's going to tell us, you know, probably 5 different parts of Africa in terms of the way that it's been divided up today. You know, we've lost connections with our extended family. You know, those who are on the continent, they know, you know, that there were maybe people, their ancestors who were taken away. But, you know, as the generations have gone on, most people don't even know whether or not some of those people that were taken away were directly in their ancestry line or not. So there's been a huge amount of damage that's been done. We touched on, you know, the psychological trauma, etc. But today, you know, we're going to continue to look into reparations. And, you know, when we were having a little conversation behind the scene, I was just saying that we can look at it from so many different perspectives. And I think each perspective is a show in its own right. So, for example, we could look at it in terms of the so-called plantation owners who, you know, were the brutal owners of so-called enslaved Africans. You know, we can look at who they were, we can look at who their descendants are, where those descendants are today, what the wealth is of those descendants. Should we be looking to strip them of their wealth? Well, if you're looking to they are, you'll probably find that most of those descendants sitting in the positions in the British and American society, still enjoying the wealth that was handed down to them by their forefathers as a result of our enslavement. We could begin to look into, you know, each and every one of them. That would be more than one show in itself. We can look at it in terms of corporations that were built off of the back of our ancestors who were enslaved. You know, we can look at Lloyds Bank, Barclays, Tate and Lyle, and so many of these huge institutions that have come about as a direct result of our enslavement. We can look at the wealth that they have accumulated. We could be looking and talking about one of them of their wealth. You know, so that is a whole show in itself. We can look at it in terms of the economic damage and destruction that has been caused to Africa, that we have suffered as a result. We could look at it in terms of we, the descendants, the diaspora, and where we are at the moment. And, you know, so many different perspectives. Of course, it impacts on Africa. It's impacted on the Caribbean. There's CARICOM, you know, so we can look at it from an international, Caribbean-wide, or so there's so many different levels that we could look at reparations, so many different perspectives. And so we're not suggesting that today's discussion is going to cover all of it. It's just really going to be, you know, skimming the surface of this huge topic. And, you know, if we even begin to start talking about the history of reparations as well, start giving recognition to, you know, some of the early drivers, you know, who were behind reparations as well. And I said that some of that comes up today. Another huge topic in itself, to give credit due, you know, to those who for centuries have been fighting the good fight and have been calling for reparations. So family, you know, we can't cover the whole bit, but what each of our guests today and panel members today is going to do is reparations that, you know, for them is critical. So we're going to start around the table, so to speak, and we welcome you, family, to join us in the discussion and the debate by posting your comments in the live chat. So let's start with Dr. Abu. Open the discussion for today. Welcome, Dr. Abu.
I pass it over to Brothe Dulani. I'll come after.
You start. I want to start already. All right then. Let's start with our guest, Brothe Dulani.
Well, I'm sure I will rise to the occasion, and I will never let down the elder. So yes, indeed, thank you so much, Dr. Abu, and thank you, Shanice, for having me on the show once again and to speak to our beautiful, wonderful people. Yes, I want to focus on our theme for this year. The theme that we have drafted for this year rebellion on the 1st of Mosiah, the 1st of August, is defeating the Mangamizi of neo-colonialism with African autonomy. All roads must lead to our sacred cause of African reparation. So we can unpack that some in this discussion. Hopefully we can get some ideas of what is the Mangamizi of neo-colonialism, what is African autonomy. So maybe we can frame some of our discussions around what is those things, so we can enlighten and inform our people what is going on, what are the forces of neo-colonialism in this world today, and how they're getting in the way of the African revolution, how they're getting in the way of the total international social movement for African reparation. So now, make no mistakes about it, we have to defeat the forces of neo-colonialism, because that is how the forces of imperialism, the forces of capitalism, able to embed themselves into our homeland, into land that we are now the custodian of in the Caribbean, in Central and South America, after our numerous rebellion. And we have been able to make footholds in many lands across this world. But the governmental structure, the economic structure, is now in the hands of the neo-colonialists. They are now the vanguard. And there's some classic example of how this manifests itself as well. I mean, we can see the destruction of our environment in Nigeria, with how the forces of neo-colonialism have taken control of the resources, and how they are extracting all the wealth out of that region and many other regions in Africa, and they're bringing those products to China, to Europe, and to America, to convert them into finished products and sell them back to the African at exorbitant prices. So these are some of the works of the neo-colonialists in cahoots with the international capitalists them. So we have to expose these forces, and you know, it has gotten so bad now, my sister and our people, and I shared this with Prophet earlier today. You know, I came across an incident, I think it was in South Africa, but they built this massive mall in South Africa, all kind of fancy stuff from the West, and they have a policy of telling Africans who are dressed up in African attire that you're not allowed to enter our mall. You're not welcome here in your African clothes, in your African attire. That was an insult. And these are the kind of manner in which the neo-colonial forces are working on the motherland. We cannot tolerate that. We cannot allow that kind of mentality to get a foothold on the continent. And particularly in countries where we are in the majority and where we dominate politically. There's no way that should be happening. But however, it is actually happening. These are some of the things that are happening. That's how embedded neo-colonialism mentally is in our people, that we still views success as the European standard of success. What the enslavers' vision of freedom is how we see freedom. You know, we see freedom and progress and prosperity through the eyes of the Europeans, unfortunately, and in some cases through the eyes of the Arabs and even the Chinese to a lesser extent. So we tend to view all our matrix for progress through their lens, and we're now, you know, many of our people on the ground are now enforcing those policies on their own people, and some of them without even realizing it. So this is the extent of our neo-colonialism work. And I'm going to show you another incidences or an example of our neo-colonialism work is in the educational system across the continent and in the Caribbean and in Central and South America and in America and even right here in Europe. The policy has been, the educational curriculum is designed from a Eurocentric perspective. So we are still teaching our people to glorify the Europeans in education, even in the teaching of math, the teaching of chemistry, the teaching of reading, writing, literature. It's all geared towards teaching us that the Europeans have set the standard for what is intellectual, for what is great. And we are now, if we want to be great, what we have to do is follow their model, follow their footstep, and we will be great also. But we do know that's a detriment to African culture. And what they're doing, they're eradicating African culture and imposing European culture. Whether it's from the French, whether it's from the British, whether it's from the Americans, whether it's from the Chinese, these external non-African culture is now pushing African culture. They have been doing it for the last 400 to 500 years, and some people will say for the last 2,000 years, they've been attacking African culture and African civilization. So yes, so those are some of the dynamics of neo-colonialism. And I'm sure the Prophet and even our elder, Dr. Abu, can add more to the dimension of neo-colonialism. And then I want to forward and deal with some of the, how we can defeat it with African autonomy. And I want to speak about African autonomy in my next round, and we can unpack that even more. Thank you, Sister Shanice.
Thank you so much. Yes, for those opening comments and remarks there. Neo-colonialism, defeating neo-colonialism in many ways that it's manifested itself, and especially within education, because that's where our mind, isn't it? That's where, you know, they superimpose all of their ideologies and we start seeing the world through their lenses. Absolutely agree with you on that, my brother. Let's go over at this stage to Prophet Maduti again for his perspective on reparations. 400 plus years of enslavement. Are we do reparations?
I will give way to my elder, Dr. Abu, and I'll come after him.
Dr. Abu. I'm going to get a ball, yeah? And then what we have to do is throw the ball to the next speaker.
No, we just want to rise up to our global family, home and abroad. You understand, you know? And rise up to Brother Dulani, well said, you know? But I have to start from where I am. These were where I am. The British did have the largest, you understand, amount of our people, and still is. You know, I am not, as I said, I am not here to complain to anyone. We are here to make demand blood. You understand? We must demand. We are here to demand what is rightfully ours. It's not a begging thing, you know? But at the same time, we got to secure ourselves. You know, we'll be stupid to talk about reparation without talking about security. And we see what's happening to our late great president of Tanzania, you know. And this is what, these are people that's looking on the same reparation, you know. He's looking at it from a different level to repair his country of the economical embargo. That's a mighty step to make. You know, see it, and a lot of people we don't understand how wide reparation is. That's why most of these government doesn't talk about it, because it's a deep thing and it take life. It take life with some of our brothers and sisters them here that is talking about it. You know, the whole thing about it, we are in the UK where them just done a report. They just done a report with a black Anglo-Saxon named Tony Sewage. You may know him as Tony Cyril, but he's a sewage. He get caught up in the shithouse of these people. And he will sell our people right down in the sewer. You understand? For an African, you understand, to put his name to a report that there is no racism in the British institution and things like that. This is the one that will poison his people blood. And this is what we're up against. If we don't secure ourselves from those even that look like, oh, then I'm telling you, it's not reparation we'll be talking about, it's suicide. Kamikaze business. You know? We have to be very careful. You understand? That's even the other day, a big discussion talking about reparation without even the people that even aspired reparation in this country. You understand? So we have to look and see the form that reparation is even taking, where government is sending out their black agent, you understand, to do certain things. We really have to be careful, my people. And for us to really benefit from any form of reparation, we have to turn to our Africanness, because that's how they take us out. That's how they take us out. They never take us out as a Baptist. You understand? You know, that is what they beat into us. And for me to repair myself, I have to get rid of those things. You know, it's painful. It's painful to say to your friend, to your brother, your sister, even to your mother and your father, that there's certain things that we have to get rid of. You understand? And reparation is how we deal with one another also. You understand? Because it's not something where we are look from the top, you know. It's both top and bottom. Both top and bottom. You know? But I said, to where we are in the UK right now, they are the #1 culprit of all things. And rise up to our brothers and sisters in France, in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in Germany, and all of those parts there that is seeking their reparation in their way. I mean, I don't speak the French much, but I can tell when you have bonfire under them blows not higher. You understand? So give thanks. More vodum.
More vodum to you, Dr. Abu. Thank you so much for that perspective on reparations. Let's bring in Prophet Maduti. No one to kick the ball back to now. Your time, my brother.
Well, I'll give way to you, Sister Shanice.
You sure? Oh, we need to hear from you. Come in, my brother. Come in.
Yeah, you know, it's a very important question, Sister Shanice. You know, what does neo-colonialism look like? I think that Brothe Dulani and Dr. Abu quite eloquently gave us an interpretation of what neo-colonialism looks like. We have people here, and I can only speak from my experience here in Britain, who are willing, you know, these so-called, what they call celebrities, actors, singers, you know, politicians who look like us, They make videos. They can find the time to make videos to try to convince the African population in Britain to trust the very same people them who has been abusing us for over 500 years. That's like asking a child who has been abused and raped by an individual, and they get older, and then they start to have them own mouth and can stand up, and then you ask that child, that person, to trust the very same person who has been abusing them all these years. You understand what I'm saying? That is lunacy. That's unintelligence. But they can find time to please their masters, whether they be MPs or councillors or people's working as directors, or whether they be the Lenny Henrys of the world. You know, these actors who take up the sir and all them something there. And now our defenders are the very same system that help to suppress our people and abuse our people. And we're not talking about the man's musical way we were treated in the enslavement. We're talking just a few years ago when they were shipping out elders who came to this, who was invited to this very same country, Britain, to come build up Britain, and they were shipping them out. People lost their jobs, their homes, couldn't work, couldn't claim any benefits, nothing. And you're asking us to trust them. These are the very same people who, under Theresa May, when she was the Home Secretary, that said, we're going to create a hostile environment. You want us to trust them? Do we know what is in that vaccine? Just because them tell we say, all right, me for trust them? You know, we seem to forget that in 2019, there was a big international conference on global population control. And by 2020, we got some virus going around the world killing out people. You know, that's unintelligence. You understand what I'm saying to you? So this is what neo-colonialism looks like. Neo-colonialism looks like people that assassinated President Magufuli. There's no doubt about it, he was assassinated. You understand what I'm saying to you? There's no doubts about it. They assassinated him. And we know this, and we've seen files on how they're able to get to us. They assassinated the president of Burundi. Zimbabwe is lost a whole heap for them MPs and things like that. But always in the West, for them MP them now, they're the heart attack.
Good question.
You understand what I'm saying to you? This is war on a different type of level. So neo-colonialism is, you know, it's so plain to see. So they can make videos to advance the enemy's desires. And unless the enemy give them permission to make, them can't make a video for reparations. We have been doing a demonstration for 8 years. This is the 8th year. From 2014 till 2020, we have been demonstrating on the annual African Emancipation Day Reparations March. And not one of them so-called people them ever come out to come say, boom, even march with me, even to show some solidarity, even to recognize that reparations is due unto us. Them don't disrespect we, them disrespect them parents. That's who them disrespect. Yeah? And I don't have no respect for none of them. So don't feel so because you're an MP and you stand up there and you and all them something there. So me respect you, I despise you because you weak, you know no backbone. That's what neo-colonialism looks like. Neo-colonialism is when people like ourselves speak And those very same neo-colonialists will come and attack us to protect the enemy. You understand what I'm saying? We did not ask to be here. We never asked them to move us out of Africa and take us to the Caribbean. And we didn't ask them to ask us to come here. They asked us. We fought with them in their first European war in 1914. We fought with them in their second European war in 1939. We fought with them on the Somme. We even helped them when they went to fight Argentina for the Falklands Islands. You understand what I'm saying to you? And them have the gall to come and tell us, say there's no institutional racism in this country. So now Tony Sewage have negated the Scarman report. Yeah? And Tony Sewage has negated what them call the McPherson report. You understand me? With this, with these were intense research.
The Lamy report.
What caused these uprisings in these areas? You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, we can see them on their narrative. The white man will never train you to defeat him. Do not be a fool. Yeah? So I don't deal with education, because all of them people we are talking about is educated. They're not Africated. Yeah? You understand what I say? They're educated in the ways of the European. You understand what I say? And that's not negating that people mustn't study to get knowledge, you know. But it's what you do with that knowledge when you acquire it. I, man, is a self-Africated African. See, I know myself. So that is what neo-colonialism look like. Neo-colonialism is when Africans work together trying to get pressure on local authorities. And the grassroots people them work, and then what happens is they bring forth the one them who's a counselor and forget the grassroots people them. That's neo-colonialism. And I could, right now, the way me just feel, I could have just go on all night, but I have to respect some of my brother them with me and you, Sister Shanice. But that's what, for me, what neo-colonialism look like. And if I'm wrong, I'm willing to be Africated. Otep.
Otep, rise up, Prophet. We can listen to you all night as well. And from the comments that we were getting in the chat, endorsing everything that you were saying, I think, you know, you were certainly carried, the sentiments that you were expressing was being carried by those in the chat. And, you know, just to remind us as people as well, because all of us need to have, you know, a full consciousness and awareness of the importance of reparations. If there's one thing that, you know, we should all regard as important within our families, within our discussions, it's the need for reparatory justice, reparations. Be part of the reparations campaign. It's all about, you know, the need to actually redress the near genocide that was committed against us as a people. It's estimated that almost 100 million Africans were taken out of Africa in enslavement. And, you know, probably about a third of them died on the way, died at seas, died under harsh conditions. I mean, we're talking about 100 million Africans. If we were not so populous as a people, you know, we would have been the history like the Aborigines. We would have just been a small representation of a nation of people that existed, you know, like the Indians wiped off of the face of the earth, like, you know, so many different nations of people that have been totally eradicated off of the face of the earth. Well, you know, us, because of the strength of the African, was used for hundreds of years for free labor. Our ancestors were the ones who were used for that free labor. We were the ones who were experiencing that injustice against us. And we, the descendants now of those ancestors, are saying that, you know, we need reparations, reparatory justice to repair the damage that has been caused to us, the descendants, that have been caused to our countries, that have been caused to our cities, our kingdoms, our culture, our heritage, our language, our lands, our everything. Yeah, we have suffered extreme destruction as a result of reparations, and the extent to which, you know, it would bankrupt Europe and America to have to repay it. But there's so much that they certainly can be doing to make good the damage, or begin at least to make good the damage. And the first thing I think they need to do is apologize, you know, just apologize emphatically for the enslavement. Can you believe that until today they don't want to give an official apology, because they believe that to give an apology would mean that compensation would have to come next? Well, of course compensation is due. If we even understood the extent of the damage and the ills that was caused to us, you know, we would be regarding the so-called Atlantic slave trade as possibly the most heinous crime that has ever been committed against humanity during the modern era. You know, they were actually enslaving millions of us as Africans. So we are more than due reparations. We're only too aware that reparations has been paid to other groups in the past. And, you know, people will talk about the other groups, and the Jews in particular who receive reparations and, you know, industrial aid and assistance. And here we are as a nation of people, you know, still suffering the consequence of those 400 years of enslavement. Look at the continent of Africa and how it has been devastated by that particular era, and continues to be devastated by, you know, what our speakers have been talking about today, the post-colonial era. Where's the industrialization on the continent? It certainly existed pre-enslavement, you know. Why are we still, as a continent, being denied the opportunity to become an industrialized continent? You see, they fear the competition, and our intention is clearly to ensure that our development continues to be arrested. But what we are saying is that it's a new day. You see, this debt, where them have come with, you know, time to remove that debt. You know, there's so much that needs to be done, but I'm not going to hog up too much time, because we do have, you know, a guest speaker in the house. I look like them must start to applause, so me I think bring him in to keep him awake. Brothe Dulani, and the thing I freeze for me, me a bore you when me a talk about. Come in, brother.
Oh man, you're sounding good. You're sounding good, Sister Shanice. This is a vast subject matter that we all can speak about for days, because there's so many angles and so many things to consider. You know, I like to, you know, focus on, you know, our global determination to not allow the British state and other perpetrators to get away with the crime against our people, but to focus on that. And and the focus has been organized into an international social movement for African reparation called ISMAR. And this is where the international forces of African people, self-organizing around the world, were determined to put the pieces back together and to find out who did what, where, when, and how, and to hold those forces accountable. We know that the wealth that smothered Europe and America came after the blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors. And we're determined to get that wealth back. We will not be walking away. It will not be bygone, be bygone. You know, my sister, we're going to hold them accountable. So, you know, this is how we are intensifying this process. this is how we're doing it in an international way with the Ubuntu Gatla as a people international tribunal where we can hold these forces accountable. And that's one of the things I want to focus on today is about this global determination. We are calling for the defeat of neocolonialism. And we're saying that this defeat can come through our establishment of African autonomy. So African autonomy is what we're going to use to defeat the forces of neocolonialism. So in the Caribbean, for example, where the neocolonial forces are operating, we as African people have to assert ourselves. We have to assert ourselves and reclaim our African identity, who we are as an African, and decide that we're going to claim space for the African personality, the African identity to come forward. And we're talking about African autonomy within the education system, African autonomy within the situation of land, African autonomy within the economy, the ownership of the resources as well. So we're talking about how do we go about this to assert our autonomy over certain things within our society. And that's where the movement building come into place. That's where our people can now begin to think about organizing, self-organizing, creating our own reparation plan to deal with the whole idea of African autonomy. And that is the key. That's a key part, no matter where we are, whether we be in Europe, right here in the UK, in America, we have to be about nation building. We have to start to think about building institutions that are for nation building, starting with education. We need to start with our primary school, or even earlier than that, in our nursery, and begin to create an Africanization process within those nurseries. And the K to 12, we begin to create curriculums to start to create the kind of leadership that we're looking for, to create the kind of philosophy around what leadership is, what is the African leadership, what that African leadership looks like. So this is some of the things that I want us to focus on. I want us as African people to begin to shape and take agency for establishing our nation, our sovereignty, our peoplehood, because this is one of the ways in which we break the back of neocolonialism. We have to be methodical. We have to be organized with each other. We have to break down some of the barriers that hold us apart. We got to reconcile as a people. We got to repair some of the damages that's done to our relationships. We have to repair some of the damage done to our family, but we have to do it with a sense of nationhood, a sense of urgency. It is important that we understand this. It is important that we begin to join organizations that are working to rebuild back our people. We need to meet at least once a week to discuss the issues facing our people in our local community, in our local area, dealing with nation building. How do we claim spaces to start to build our African? I mean, there are spaces such as we have broadcasting space, which you got institutions like Galaxy Radio have really stepped into the gap as an anti-colonial radio station. It is this kind of mentality that we have to use to guide us and take spaces and hold spaces. You know, see, because eventually we would have to, we have to begin to look at how do we dislodge many of the neo-colonial forces, and you know, also in the process, how do we win over many of those who are caught up under the spell of neo-colonialism and don't even realize it? How do we win them over to the cause of African liberation, to our sacred cause for reparation? And, you know, so there's a lot of work to be done. And we have to do this work. It's practical work. It's practical work that needs to be done. There are organizations that are in place such as the Stop the Manganese campaign, that need people to come aboard, to come and advance this struggle, because we have to stop the manganese. And that's the first step in stopping the harm. We have to stop the harm. When the patient is bleeding, you got to pull the knife out. You got to begin to administer first aid. You got to stop the bleeding. So we as a people, we see the blood of neocolonialism on our people, and we got to find ways to stop it. So we got to be willing to organize, and that is my message. My paramount message is that we have to organize, we have to centralize, we have to have operational unity in our community against these forces. We are right here in the belly of imperialism, the belly of international finance capital, and we have to defeat these forces because they're very strong, they're very organized, and unfortunately, we are not organized enough to take them all to the fullest extent. So we have to think of reparation as a process. The reparation movement is a process. So we have to prepare our people, begin to work on raising our consciousness. The education campaign, the promotional campaign is vital to get our people to become more in tune with who they are as an African people. And as Prophet always said, we have to keep Africating our people. So, and when we teach Kwanzaa, we have 7 principles that we have to inculcate in ourselves and in our people. And Kuji Chagalia, which is self-determination, needs to be paramount as we move forward. So African autonomy is how we defeat neo-colonialism. Yes, my sister. I yield the floor.
Thank you so much, my brother. People in the chat, Lady B saying, totally agree with you, Brother Dulani. You're saying, yes, Brother Dulani, we need to organize. Papa Cheesy saying, yes, Brother Dulani, speak on it. Knowledge is knowing, and power and sharing. One love, melanated family, blessings. And Body Temples is saying, Africa, global communication is here from the 4 corners of the world, and we're able to move as one and with one voice. Hallelujah. And Yason saying, as we speak reparations, I need to emphasize the fact that we have to include the costs for being fully repatriated. Repatriated. There would be those who desire to repatriate, and all costs should be negotiated. Yes, indeed. You know, didn't mention repatriation earlier. I mean, there's so many arms and so many legs to this discussion and debate on reparations, and of course, repatriation is an important aspect of that. The repair, you know, reparations and repatriation, very important as well, because as I was saying earlier, when we were taken away from Mama Africa, we would have had land that our forefathers owned, that we would have inherited as their descendants. They would have had property, they would have had goods, they would have had everything that they would have worked for hundreds and hundreds of years. And all of that was stolen and taken away. And it was said in the chat as well that they need to return our artifacts, because we all know, you know, they've got our loot, they've got our stolen goods in their museums up and down Europe and across America. And it's time that they started returning those artifacts as well, because what they tried, you know, to tell us through the misinformation and miseducation is that we as a people, when they came across us in Africa, that we had no culture, that we had no history, that we had nothing of interest or value to speak of. Yet, you know, the museums, chock-a-block. I mean, they can't even fill the museums. The museums are bulging at the seams. The ground floors, the basements are full and full of our artifacts and our treasures. Evidence of the high level of civilization that actually existed prior to our enslavement. And, you know, I just want to, you know, rise up Brother Dulani, that just a little while there as well, and talking about the importance of nation building. Absolutely. And it was said in the chat that, you know, we need to put a price on reparations as well. And so when we're talking about nation building, for me, we're talking about rebuilding our cities, rebuilding our kingdoms, rebuilding our empires. You know, we put a monetary value to that. And if we are looking to put a monetary value, who do we expect to pay? You know, the trillions and trillions that would be involved in trying to repay us so that we could, you know, put ourselves back to the position that we were prior to our enslavement. And then some might even ask, if we're aware of the extent to which, you know, Africa is just so wealthy anyway, why do we even need any money, paper money from the West, when all of the natural minerals and resources and wealth actually exist on the continent? And we're talking about nation building. Where should we be building these nations? Should we be building our cities, our African cities in America, in Europe, and places like that? Or are we talking about separating ourselves, moving back to Mama Africa and building on the continent? These are some important questions I feel that need to be answered. We may not have the time to answer them all here this evening, but let's go around the table again and hear what the thoughts and perspectives and views are from some of our panel members to maybe some of those questions that I've thrown out. Who wants to pick up on it? I won't pick anybody this time. They'll just pass the baton. Who wants in at this stage?
Well,
Don't shout at once.
I'm ready. You know, I'm ready. You know, so you know, if you know, anytime, anything.
Okay. Well, we just heard from you.
Ever ready.
Excellent. Excellent. I heard Dr. Abu just about to come in. So let's bring in Dr. Abu, then we'll go back to you, Brother Dulani, and then over to Prophet. Dr. Abu.
Yeah, Budamai. We have to be honest with ourselves. You know, it's not a thing where I tell you something and me know say I lie, me I tell. And a reparation that, you know. We can't, reparation is not only here in the West, it's for where we're going also, or where we're thinking of going, or where we are, Caribbean, Africa, wherever we are. We can't talk about reparation and we don't want the tomato that the farmer produced, but we want the one in the tin from France and Belgium and America. We can't talk about reparation, we don't want the onion from the farmers them in Jamaica, but we want those from America. Reparation is not about we want the latest here from Brazil and all that. This is that's crawling back on the plantation and I blows me. If we are built, if it's nation building we are deal with, we must do things that reflect us. You know? The white man, you said, I see there's a big cry out in Europe when Black Pete, you remember this fella here, Black Pete, someplace in Europe that them black up them face maybe a couple days a year and thing, and we petition, we demonstrate, but when we people them a bleach them skin and we are Indian people here, we not say nothing about it, and I deal with reparation here. We can't deal with nation building and we are other people things and I behave like other people. That's why I said we need mass counseling for our people are going to relationship. We are talking about that. It's because of lack of certain things why we in this situation. You know, we need mass counseling for even getting our children them out of these situation that they're in. I'm telling you, blood, we have to be honest with ourselves and stop tell lie. We live amongst the man so long that we lie. I tell him, we lie. Some of us, we just lie for your fun of it. I don't know what say that is a sickening blows not situation. You understand? Reparation, we got to be honest. We got to be honest with ourselves. I know to a fact that there was a time when these people used to use dog as a weapon against us. And today we have black people in England in a bed with rotted old dog. You know, see, so we are talking about reparation. Eh? We have to be real. You know, see, there's a time when the European hunger see the black woman as a bed winch. And it doesn't change today. It doesn't change. It doesn't change. Because there is no rich white man that take up no poor black woman, but there's a lot of rich black man that take up poor white woman. You know, we have a deal and real with reparation to secure us as a people. Budum, Aya. Budum.
Budum, Dr. Abu. Real talk, somebody said in the chat. Rise up, rise up. And we have African Queen who's saying, we are not learning from slavery. History is repeating itself. What say you on that? Maybe someone can answer that question. Are we not learning from our history? Are we allowing history to repeat itself during these times? Wow, wow, wow. Bringing in our brother Dulani. Rise up, brother Dulani.
Greetings, yes. Yes,
Greetings.
yes, doctor, definitely fully understand. Right now, you know, nation building and anti-colonialism, reparation, all hand in hand, because it's about repairing everything. Our nation has been destroyed. It's been decimated. Our culture is in tatters. So we have to repair those damages that's been done to us. The psychological repair is a tremendous amount of work needs to be done, Dr. Abu. The repairing of our culture, the repairing of the psychosis, the mental side that we are going through as a people, we have to deal with that. We have to address that. You know, it's a very serious issue. It's a very serious issue amongst our people. So, and when we're saying about nation, we're talking about non-geographical nation at the moment as a diasporan people. It's non-geographical. And we have to be willing to pull together non-geographically. You know what I mean? As a diasporan people in the diaspora who are seeking a seat at the table amongst our African brothers and sisters on the continent. Because Africa has to be our base. Africa has to be our home. Africa has to be our throne. It is from Africa in which we will establish a new world, a new paradigm for our people, both at home and abroad. You know, so let's make no mistakes about it. Repatriation, restitution is a very important part of this discussion. Our reconnection with our African brothers, the chiefdoms and the kingdoms in Africa, is paramount to our struggle. It's vital to our struggle as Africans who are regaining our mind. We have to regain our connection back to the land of Africa, the people of Africa, you know, the languages of Africa, the culture of Africa, the food, the air. We have to climatize ourselves, reclimatize ourselves with our African brothers and sisters. And that healing, that repairing has to take place along the way as we build forward. It's paramount. Africa has to be the center of the reparation movement right now in this world. This global movement, this international social movement for African reparation, Africa has to be the center of it. Make no mistakes about it. You know, that's why, you know, I am a Pan-Africanist because Africa is the center of my thoughts and process. So as a global Africanist, you know, I affirm that and knowing that we in the diaspora nation right now for us is non-geographical. We don't have a geographical home in the West, in Europe, in America, in the Caribbean, in Central America, but we can control territory where we are the majority. Any territory that we are the majority, it is our duty to take it over and use it to benefit our people. Use it as leverage to gain power. And we must hold these perpetrators accountable because they think they've gotten away with it. They think they're writing themselves right out of history, right out of the responsibility for what they have done, and it's going to leave it to the down press. And what we notice, my great sister and our panelists and our great listeners, if you look at some of the condition our people are living in right now on the Caribbean island of Jamaica and in many parts of the continent, it is deplorable. In 2021, some of the condition that I've been, especially recently, I've been refocusing my mind, looking at some of the documentaries that's been done right now today, and some of the condition that our people are living in, what colonialism have left our people in, the legacy of enslavement. Some of our people are living as if they're still in concentration camp in the Caribbean. It's living as if they're still living like, you know, I don't even want to use the kind of words to describe how deplorable the condition is that we are living under at the moment. Neo-colonialism is real. And we got to understand that it's not just talking for us. It's not just a career for us. It is a real life. You're talking about saving lives. You're talking about feeding people. You're talking about putting clothes on people's backs. You're talking about putting homes for people to sleep in. We're talking about tangible things that needs to be done. You know, our people, they're looking, and many of these people, you will see them in the condition, and all they were thinking about is Jesus. And if they get a slice of bread, they will thank Jesus. If they get a shoe, they thank Jesus. Because they're thinking that that is who is providing this for them. And without knowing that it's none but ourselves that are helping our people. It's people putting together, helping people who see the condition, who see the plight, and are helping each other. So a part of the repairing is that we have to go and rescue those who have been left behind in the gutter. Those who have been left behind in the gutter is too many of our people are living. If you look at some of our elders, how they're living in the Caribbean, they're living like squalors. It is unacceptable. These are some of the legacy of neo-colonialism. These are the direct effect of enslavement and colonialism and neo-colonialism, and the leaders of those places, they see the suffering. You know that right now in Jamaica, $500,000 Jamaican dollar can build a 2-bedroom house with bathroom and kitchen. So why is there homelessness in Jamaica? Why are people living deplorably in shanty towns, in shacks, in dirty mattresses, and living with children? Elders are living like, you know, it's unacceptable. So these are some of the things that we have to cure. These are some of the focus that we have to focus on. It is real. The struggle for reparation is about repairing these damages, especially on the grassroots. And that is why we have to be very careful of institutional reparation activists. We have to be very mindful, because they're not focusing on repairing the damage on the ground. They're focusing on repaying of debt, financing debt, loan forgiveness. They're focusing on these fancy policies, so the neo-colonial institution can thrive and prosper and get funding. But none of this is talking about trickling down to be able to eradicate extreme poverty amongst our people, to bring into being in the basic school an African curriculum that can start to teach our children from nursery the African history, the African culture, the African dress, the African modality, from nursery, from kindergarten, all of those processes from K to 12. We need those things to be implemented to save our people. And this is the work of reparationists today. This is the kind of work that we have to do. And you have to join into a campaign. Like I said last week, this is not a spectator sports. It is a participatory campaign. We have to get involved. It's the responsibility of all of us who are listening to this broadcast today. It is all our responsibility to fix this problem. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no savior coming to save us. There is no sky that's going to crack open and anyone to come do it for us. We're all we got. Look around in your community. The leadership that you see, that's what we have. The people that you walk along the road and you see every day, that's what we have. There is no special mysterious people going to come from nowhere. There's no special group of rescue team coming for us. We are our own rescue team. So when we see the plight of our people, we got to go to the rescue. Those who are able, who can feed themselves, have to feed others who can't feed themselves. If you can house yourself, you got to house others who cannot house themselves. And if you can contribute to the housing of other people, you contribute. So these are some of the practical steps we have to do. And I'm imploring, and I'm asking our people, get involved in the campaign, the reparation march, the reparation rebellion, get involved in the Stop the Manga Music campaign. You got to move forward. We've got to take action. And I'm going to land right there. And when I come forward, we can deal with more aspects of how we defeat neo-colonialism.
Rise up, Brother Dulani. Thank you so much for that talk there. It certainly puts into perspective as well, you know, the depth of the impoverishment of us as a people globally as a result of those 400 plus years of enslavement. But without further ado, let me go over so that we can hear from Prophet Maduti.
Yeah, well said, Brother Dulani and Dr. Abu and Sister Shanice and things like that. You know, one of the things that get me is that sometimes when we talk on these platforms, it gives the impression that nothing is actually being done. And I, for one, don't attest to that. There's a lot of organizations who are doing works, organizations that's lobbying the governments, organizations that's running independent schools to advocate our children. And so that work is being done. I think what the big problem is that we're not funded by our community so that we can be, so that we can be more effective in the things that we do. I was having in fact, Dulani and I was speaking the other day, and we were saying you cannot be an effective liberationist if you're working for the system. So if you have to depend on the system to feed you and pay your bills, you will not be an effective liberationist. You can do something, you can assist, but you can't work to your optimum, because you're always compromised by what you have to say and do in terms of what you know to be the truth. But you have to balance that against the fact that you have to pay your council tax, you have to pay your mortgage or your rent, electricity or gas, you have to buy food. And once you are dependent on these people, this is one of the ways that they've been able to keep the status quo. Hence, neo-colonialistic attitudes, neo-colonialistic behavior. Enslavement of our people has never finished. They've just changed the demographics. They've just changed it. But we still have the overseers. We still have the people them who seem to be free within that society. Because in our enslavement, we had Africans who were free, who lived in that very same system, and who owned other Africans as slaves themselves. You know, this is part of our story. We have to totally decimate that ideological feeling that we have within ourselves, that the Europeans have this God-given right to rule. We have to decimate that when a European says it, that means it must be true. There were many things that many people on this panel predicted 20 years ago. Nobody listened to us because we're not a PhD. We don't have a master's. We're not a solicitor. We're not an MP. We're not a councillor. And they all bear fruit. All of them have bear fruit. We warn them. We even warned President Magufuli. It's not that we could see in the future. It's just that we know our enemy, we know how they work, and we know what they will do. So when you study your history of your contact with these people that you deal with, the maths add up. It's straight additions, multiplication, subtraction, and division. It's maths. And it's purest form. You and to trust them to help us is total lunacy. No, let me say this. I am not saying that there aren't people from other groups who sympathizes with our plight and are truly genuine in wanting to help us to gain our liberation and our right of self-governance. But very seldomly, those people are in the seat of power. Let me repeat myself. Very seldomly, those people are in seat of power. And if they are, and they start to assist us, the system comes down on them like a ton of bricks. You understand what I say? So know that this road that you see us on, as Brothe Dulani said, is not a celebrity thing we are dealing with. I have a celebrity thing, I'm going to stand up on stage and chat to foolishness and make people laugh and just earn our money. This is a sojourn. And we're not going to free ourselves totally by just Africating ourselves in terms of, business and, our self-rule. The root to any culture being successful is the deification of that culture. I repeat myself. The root to any culture to liberate themselves is the deification of their culture. I.e., the Arabs are Muslims in general. The Indians are Hindus. The Chinese are Taoists. See? The Europeans are Christians. What are we Africans? We have to study the history of our connection with these various groups and the impact that it had on the destruction of the African civilization. Only then will we open up the eyes of our people. We must teach this to our children in our homes, even if they're not listening to us. And believe me, I'm here talking to you now. I have problems even trying to Africate my own children because the system power is so strong. But you have to keep on it every day. You understand? You have to detox them when them come in and ask them, we learn over school today and things like that and rate it there. Understand me? Don't be afraid to tell your children the white man is wicked. Don't be afraid to tell them that. Because the reality is, he is. They've killed more people and creatures on this planet. Neo-Colonialism is Kenyatta having British soldiers in Kenya blowing up the place. Recently them just destroyed 4,000 acres. 4,000 acres. I set off
10,000
in Kenya, kill off elephant, cause a massive fire, kill off whole heap of lion and cheetah and all them something, the wildlife. How can you be a so-called independent country and have a foreign army in your country decimating your landscape? Why Britain never go at the Cotswolds? Or the Yorkshire Moors? And go blow up this up? This is what neo-colonialism is. And the reality is this. Some of us have to be prepared to die. That's no joke. We have to die so our children can live. You understand what I'm saying to you? So, in my closing, there are African organizations globally who are Africating our children. We're not sitting down on our laurels or waiting for some big payout from compensation via reparations. No, we're not waiting for that, but we'll do it. We're due it on all circumstances. And we must never run away from the talk of money when it comes to reparations. But what we must do is construct, organize ourselves spiritually, culturally, and economically, and Africationally, so that we're prepared. And something Dr. Abu said that was so poignant. With all of this pretty talk where we are talk, all of these things that we say we need for do, and we are going to do, and this and that. You see, if we can't defend it, it don't make no difference. You see, if we're not an army, I'm telling the children, them, learn, go into science. Learn a way for us deal with them case here. Invent some mechanism on it's in the sun and the moon. Yeah? And nature, for lick out them blouse and skirt. Yeah? Because let me tell you something from now. If you can't defend it, they will come and take it. So everything where we are chat, autonomy, freedom, reparatory justice, restitution, repairs of all kind, Africating will not matter if we can't defend it. Remember me tell you, because you're dealing with a people that only speaks one language, force. Simple. And if you cannot defend yourself, you're in big trouble. As Dr. Magufuli, Pombe Magufuli, the president of Tanzania, found out. And he was a president of a country where have people, army and security service around him, and they could even get to him. So we have to start talking about defense. And don't be afraid to talk about it. How are we going to defend ourselves when they decide, no, they're getting too big for their boots. They're getting uppity again. Or we are going to defend ourselves. We can't even defend ourselves propagandally. We can't defend ourselves economically, culturally, spiritually, and Africationally. So how we're going to defend ourselves? We have to sort out our military. That we have to sort out. And that's no joking. You can't keep running to them to help you. Because believe me, when one of them come to help you, I something them a look. Them so teeth them that dig out your eye corner. You understand? Now, that doesn't mean that we should stop the things that we're doing. It's just that what I'm saying is that for the future, our children who's watching, you have to be, let's take it down to a street level. If man is running on road and shotting on road and you can't defend it, next man will come and take it, bruv. It's just as simple as that. The fittest of the fittest will survive. Hotep.
Hotep, rise up, prophets. Again, brothers and sisters commenting in the chat, concurring with what you're saying there indeed. And it's so true. If we don't talk about reparations, we're talking about rebuilding our kingdoms, we're talking about, industrialization, coming to Africa so that we're providing for ourselves. We all want to be self-sufficient. We no longer want to be dependent on our former colonizers. We're talking about true independence, liberating ourselves in, mentally as well as physically during these times. But as we talk about all of that, as Prophet was saying, we have to be mindful of, for example, Tulsa, Oklahoma. They told our ancestors who had recently been freed from enslavement that they were going to have to fend for themselves and pull themselves up by the bootstraps. And they did that and, built for themselves a wealthy town called Tulsa, to the extent that, you know, they were driving the latest cars, they had cinemas, they had over 300
Sister Shanice,
different...
may I cut you there?
Well, you caught me already, caught me.
Yeah, may I cut you there? My apologies, my sister.
That's
Because
okay.
we're using the English language, we have to change the narrative and the way that we transmit certain information. In your opening statement, you use the word when they were freed. No, the white man never free us. We freed ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? And we must remember that, because what happened is, even when we're talking, we still give them power over us. When you know they were freed. No, when we fight them to the negotiation table and freed ourselves. Now, white boy not free we. Right. We burn down them concentration camp and chop up boy. And Denmark visit them and not Turner. Yeah? And the many others, rebellions that went on all over those concentration camps. So when we freed ourselves, remember saying, you had Africans who was enslaved fighting on the southern of the United States and the northern. Some was fighting for the Confederacy, you know, because King George did promise them if them fight them for defeat the north, then will prepare a place for them. That's how Sierra Leone come about. That's how Freetown in Sierra Leone come about. You understand me? So we was fighting on both sides.
That's right.
You see?
Yes.
You understand me? So when we freed.
When we in our right mind.
I look at clarification in case our people listening for accuracy. That was in the Revolutionary War of 1776. When the British was fighting against the American. There are many that fight on the British side and some that fight on the so-called rebellious American side. And then again, that was the first one to establish Sierra Leone. Then in the 1865, when they had the Civil War, those who fought on the behalf of the South was promised a place in Liberia.
Yes, that's right, Liberia. Yeah.
So someone is from Liberia, Monrovia. The president of America, named Monrovia, established the capital and named it after him. So that's what on the second wave. So the first wave was with the British, and then the second wave was in after the 1880
for the South.
Yeah, for the South. So they promised them that they would send them back to Africa, and some of them were sent to Liberia. So that's just we clarify that. It was two periods. One was in 1776 with the American Revolution, and then one was 1865 during the Civil War. That's the clarification there.
But the
point is, we free ourselves.
Yes, so two countries
we freed ourselves.
Yes, Sierra Leone and
freed ourselves. Them never free we.
And Haiti, which was paramount. Yeah.
And Haiti in 1791.
Correct.
And finally, in 13 years, and in 1884, gained them independence. So we free ourselves.
We absolutely
we free ourselves. Them never free we.
True talk. The Wilberforce story is a big lie from the pit of hell. And as you said, Brothe Dulani, absolutely right. You know, we were fighting other people's wars on both sides. And is that not still the case today? Any army, any European army, you're looking there, you're going to see our brothers and sisters in those armies as well. We're still, you know, allowing ourselves to be recruited into their armies and fighting their battles and their wars. But, you know, that's because as a people, we're still not in our right mind. If we were in our right mind, we wouldn't have foreign armies on the continent carrying out training exercises and blowing up 10,000 acres of
Did you know that? Did you know that when Ethiopia was invaded by the Italians, the Africans from around the world were signing up to go and fight for Ethiopia, and the governments of those countries, the Jamaica, certain other islands, the United States, they wouldn't let them go. They would not let them go and fight for Ethiopia.
And some of the pilots
know that.
Some of the pilots them that fought in that war came from America. Some black people, they smuggled themselves out, went into Ethiopia to fly those pilot jets on the behalf of Ethiopia.
Yeah. You were saying?
Yes. And once we emancipate ourselves, as said here, from mental slavery, we will not be fighting in other people's armies. We will be fighting in our own armies. And as you were saying about the forces that they have, you know, and why we need to make sure that we have our security tight. When you think of how they're organized, they have their air force, their armed forces, the police forces, they have their submarines, they have their tanks, they have their armies, they have a whole range of military, you know, divisions and departments, from communications through to, you know, intelligence. They wake up 7 o'clock every morning and they're on the plantation planning and scheming about our demise as a people.
Sister
Most of us, because we're caught up in the matrix, are still actually working towards facilitating our own demise. Come in, Prophet.
Sister Shanice, I think on this particular topic, Dr. Abu is the best person on this panel to speak about that, about the security, the and all that thing that them do, because he was amongst them. Elder, affricate us.
Well, Voodoo, a lot of people look down or think that an African in the British Army is different from the African who work for the local authority. Let me tell you, right? You have more people who work for the local authority cause more damage to them people. You know, when I was in the army, you know, many of our people them we protect. You understand? And certain things, you know, we don't realize that we all work for the man. Whether we're in the army or we're in that, we all work for the man, but some of us are not honest. When me in the army, I try to thief everything to give to black people. I try to let black people through in certain things. You understand? You know? I don't see that. What I'm saying is that you can kill a man by the gun or you kill him by the pen. And a lot of them were working at the local authority, murder with people them every day. You understand? We, as a soldier, I never see myself as a warmonger. I see myself as a peacekeeper. And the politician, them are the warmonger, will send I and I to war. You understand? So we have to repair ourselves. And so right now, the only army me are going since I left that one here is my army. And I've been standing post when I left the army into Galaxy Radio. And I've been standing post. You understand? That other one can see
Well,
a beacon.
Abu, you never actually leave the army. Tell the truth.
No, me just switch one regiment for the next. You understand? You know,
important skills.
And you know, see it. And over the years on that battlefield, I encounter, as I said, you know, we're not honest with ourselves, and we come and we talk about reparation and the police and the government. But one of our biggest enemy in the UK was the local authority. They sketch police on us. They do all kind of wickedness to us. When we get a building to even teach our children and some rite of passage, who come there and shut them down? The local authority. It's not the National Front, the local authority. The local authority know that some racist people live up the road and then give us flat there. Then send us there. This is what they done to us over the year. And we are telling to sell out black people them. We are telling to sell out black people them. You understand? As I said, my people, listen to me. We can't, they in England and both say we're afraid of our own people. You understand? You have youth worker out there say them afraid of the young people them. You have teachers that say them afraid of the young people them. But let me tell you something. If you're afraid of dog, you can't work a Batista dog home. You understand? So know the job where you're in and know yourself. A lot of our people, we use our people like a cash register. And that is not reparation blood. That's crawling back on the plantation. And that's what I say. A lot of people attack reparation now, because they can get some little funding. The government soon start getting give funding for it, and that them a cook up. You understand? So I say again, I salute a lot of our brethren them that was in the British Army over here. Because if we never day in the British Army, all the man that were about things at Brixton and all of them, they don't know nothing, blood. You understand? So we just give thanks that some of us can have some sense of know that we can go up on a reconnaissance and do certain things, and set our people in a good way. Voodoo mai.
Voodoo. Okay, back to you, Prophet.
No, I'm gonna give way to Brother Dulani.
You did pass the baton to Dr. Abu to talk about.
I did, but I spoke a lot.
About how we defend ourselves as a people, and
I think
looked at the enemy in terms of their force.
Yes, I think I spoke enough on that, Sister Shanice. So I'm going to give Brother Dulani an opportunity to come in. So Brother Dulani can come in and he can give his little sixpence on that, and I'll come back.
The baton has been passed to Brother Dulani.
Greetings. Yes. There's a few things I would like to touch on. Thank you, Prophet.
And Dulani,
because yes,
Dulani, throw some little patwa in there along the way. Cause you're going like you can't, see. You come with, If you Africate up yourself, man, and Jamaica up yourself, man.
Yeah, man. Watch your face, my brother. There's a few things there's a few things I want to address. A while ago, one picture come up on the screen with a white Jesus from somebody named Byron Consul or something like that. Listen, man, that's the first step we have to take. We have to break this white supremacist wall in our mind. We can't be amongst African people and post a picture with white Jesus. What kind of thing that we need to emancipate ourselves from mental enslavement? See it. And that's a classic example, right just another group. Man, the palm picture have it as in profile picture, white Jesus. See it, then I ask question. Look at your mirror, man, and put a black Jesus up if you want, put a black somebody, man. See it. Anyway, I want to be clear about something. And I want to clarify something. There's a lot of movement taking place with corporate reparation or government sprinkling of and name it reparation. Let us be clear. Corporate social responsibility is not reparation. Local authority social responsibility is not reparation. Let's get that clear, because they're selling these things, these institutions who's supposed to be doing good works in the community anyway, helping our people, doing what they're supposed to do. That's what they're supposed to be doing anyway. That's not reparation. For us, reparation has to be dealing with systematic and structural changes, redistribution of wealth and power. That is reparation. A true systematic change where resources begin to shift, power begin to shift. And that is why we begin to repair a lot of the institutional damage and the political damage amongst African people. So please, let's
Brother
not mix
Dulani,
up.
can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Would you not say that power is not something somebody giving you? Power is something you have to take.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. But you have to. There's a process. There's a process to reach to the level that we need to get to take power. We're not in a position to take power at the moment, my brother. We don't have the military to hold power, to take power. So we have to move incrementally. Reparation for us, it has to be a process.
It's not the military you don't have them. We keep on and say that we don't have the military. It's not the military we don't have. The power. Power lie in your principle and your discipline. If you don't have those things, you're powerless.
Well, those things are paramount, Doctor. Those things are paramount. But I mean, what I'm looking at is practically on the ground to hold a space, to take a territory, to take resources. You have to be able to defend it, because they will be coming to drop in some drone, some ICBM will be coming, some Tomahawk missiles will. Tomahawk missiles will be coming. Those missiles that coming off those ships, they'll be pounding. There's megatons of TNT will be crashing down in our villages. So we have to protect ourselves. Make no mistakes about it. You know what I mean? I respect what you're saying, Elder. The power of our cause, the power of the righteousness of our movement, of our willpower. You know what I mean? The power of our truth. You know, we have to maintain that power. Our moral power, you know what I mean, has to be harnessed and have to be used. But we need to have that scientific, technological base to protect our people from physical harm, because we're now moving into the space age, the technological age, where, I mean, Doctor, I don't have to tell you, they're compacting more and more megaton into smaller and smaller package, and when it hit, it come like an earthquake. The Richter scale begin to shake when these bombs hit your territory. So we have to be prepared.
Brother Dulani.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry for cutting on you. Interestingly enough, you know, that in all of those spheres of technology and science, be they military.
See the prophet. See the man there with the white Christ on the thing, the Rasta.
Yeah, me see.
Disrespect.
Profile.
Yeah, him do that purposely. Him do that purposely. Him do that purposely.
Got you, prophet. Yeah, man, have to emancipate yourself. But
let me ask my train of thought. No, yeah.
No, you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, let me come back in. Prophet, you did cut me when I was talking earlier, and then you passed it
no
to,
problem. Go on. Me never know say you be a malice.
I just want to just remind you. So let me go back to the topic of conversation that we were having before you passed it to Dr. Abu, about the importance for us as a people, to have our own armies, and also to recognize, because I often hear it said, we don't have our own armies, we don't have our own armies. We do have our armies. We do have our own armies. But the sad thing is just like Dr. Abu was saying about a lot of people who work in local government, those individuals who are in the army are not in their right mind. We've talked about the importance of education, and we've talked about how we're miseducated as a people. We talk about how we're indoctrinated with a Eurocentric mindset, so we end up, being our own worst enemies. We have to always understand that is the position that a lot of our people are in, irrespective of the position that we hold within our society. And we often point the finger to those in positions like MPs and councillors who are very obviously not in their right mind. We've got armies right across Africa. We've got armies in the Caribbean. We've got armies in Brazil. We have people in the army everywhere. What we have to make sure is that those people, those members of our community who are in those positions, are in their right mind, so that when it comes to the crunch, they know which way to turn the guns, they know which way to put the cannons, and it's not at their own people, but that the service that they are providing to their own people is that, for example, as peacekeeper, that as intercessor, that of one, who will go in the way or in front of to defend their people. If we were all in our right mind, in our respective places, we would be looking to free ourselves from the matrix, from being dependent to a position of independent almost overnight. also, I'd like to say very, very importantly, if I was the president of any African government, or if I was the president of the whole of Africa, every single teenager would have to go through at least 2 years in the army, every one of them, to learn discipline, to learn how to build infrastructure, to learn how to serve and protect their people, okay? Every single teenager would need to learn how to serve, how to use a rifle, how to defend their country. Every single one of them in those 2 years would also have a level of intelligence information indoctrinated into them, socialized into the importance of defending their country, defending their nation, and defending their people. And same way, once a year when you see China walk up and down in a unison and a march as one, you would see fewer people globally have march as one. So when we talk about we don't have no army, we don't have no defense or whatever, we do, but we're just not organizing ourselves properly.
No.
And that is the first step towards organization. Come in, Dr.
All of these countries, these independent countries, they don't have their own army, sis. The army doesn't belong to them. Yeah, the army in Sierra Leone is not there to defend the people of Sierra Leone. You understand? That's why they have this civil war and fight among them. It's there to defend the creditors. You understand? The army in the Gambia is not there to defend. The army in the Gambia is not there to defend the people in the Gambia. It's there to defend the creditors. You understand? That's why you have these little civil war where they make them turn on themselves. You understand? These countries that's independent, even the constitution doesn't bear a reflect to the benefit of the people. It bears for the European them. So we must get it right. We not no army. Or the European them won the army. You understand? We have to get it right.
I would add that there are neo-colonial governments.
Okay, just a minute, please, Brother Dulani. Let me just qualify my point that I was making by saying is people make up the army. And if the people have their right mindset, have an Africated mindset, then wherever we are, we would know ourselves. The overs. So it's not about who controls the army, because it's people in the army. And it's just like they thought they controlled us on the plantation. They thought they had us. It's just what they like what they said about Idi Amin. They educated Idi Amin. So they thought that their education was such that they could control him. And so they were surprised when he turned around, and used their same education to take over his nation and to run out the people then. So what I'm talking about is the mindset and the importance to reset the mindset. Because then if we're in the army or wherever we are, we'll know what side of the fence we're on. So that's the point I'm making. Not in terms of control. Okay. Go ahead. Yes.
Add to that point, sister. Now we're moving into the area of solution, into the area of African autonomy. Now, you see, we have to look at the thing holistically. We can't look at the army as separate from the civil society or from the governance or from the teachers. We all have to look at it holistically. Though, when the forces of liberation takes over a country, you have to reform the army, you have to reform the school system, you have to reform civil society, you have to have a new paradigm, a new policy, a new philosophy, a new thinking. So when we come into repair and we're saying a new anti-colonial leadership that's based on true African, authentic African culture, authentic African behavior, we have to inculcate that into our soldiers. That has to become a part of the teaching manual, from the top down to the highest level to the lowest level, knowing that we're working on a new paradigm. This is how we're going to be working from now on. We're going to be protecting African people, protecting African resources, rebuilding Africa. This is our mandate. We're not here to harm our people. We're here to protect our people and to serve our people. That is a part, and that goes across the board. So we can't get into the isolation thinking that if I reform the police forces, it's going to solve the problem, or the military is going to. You got to. These all have to be done simultaneously. Everybody got to come at the table and be on the same page when we're rebuilding this new nation under this new paradigm, where we're talking about bringing forward African thinking, and we're talking about bringing forward principles like Mahat, principles like Ubuntu. These are foundational African principles that need to be inculcated in African thoughts. That African leadership and oath. When we take an oath, when we join the military, we take oath. We need to look at what kind of oath is our soldiers taking? Are our soldiers taking? What kind of thinking that we're telling our soldiers when they go out on the road? Same thing go for the police. Same thing go for the civil servant who is in those offices that is treating our people when they come there and want services. They have to have a different mentality to the one that they have now, the colonial mentality that they've been fed with. You know what I'm saying? So that is a part of the reparation process. We come with a new paradigm, a new thinking, you know, well, fortunately also a new leadership. Because some of those old guards will have to be replaced because they're too entrenched. They're too, they cannot see a new way or a different way. So we have to dislodge just many of those forces. And in some instances, it's going to be rough. You know what I'm saying? To put it mildly, you know, my sister. But I just want to add that dimension to it. That is a holistic approach. It's about rebuilding our nation from top to bottom.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as was said at the outset of this part of the discussion, our security is critical. Having our forces in place to protect us is critical. How can we be talking about reparations and rebuilding, knowing that there are boots on the ground right now? Prophet gave the example in Kenya, where the British Army was supposedly training and set off a bomb that exploded and has ruined over 10,000 acres of pristine land, killed elephants, giraffes, lions, other wildlife. People were having to run, you know, from their homes to get away from the fire. You know,
this why don't they go down the Trent and do that?
Huh? Right. Another country's army in your backyard. So, you know, this is the mindset that has to be preset before we can even really start talking about building and reparations. But, you know, not to say that we don't continue to have in our mind what we want from reparations, but it's like trying to build your house and there's armies surrounding your house ready to bomb it down. But
that's what reparations is about, though, Sister Shani.
It's self-repair, yes. It's all of that.
That's what reparations is about, sis. It's about all those type of repairs, you know what I mean? Yeah, military repairs, you understand? Intelligence repairs, surveillance repairs, repairs of all kinds, you know? And that's why when Dulani said earlier that it's a vast subject, this reparations. It's not just one thing. You know what I mean? We could have spent, you know, a whole 2 hours a show speaking of educational repairs and Africational repairs.
And dig down into that and dissect that.
And dig down into that and dissect it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know? So you know, when we have these conversations amongst each other, it, you know, there's that saying, you know, iron sharpen iron. You understand what I'm saying to you? You know, iron sharpen iron.
Absolutely.
You know, so we learn from each other.
Yeah. All of the issue that we're faced with here in this country, the death in custody, the death in psychiatric institution, the lack of economic progress, you know, the the high level of hospitalization of our people, the high level of death. All these things are part of the attack on our people. And all these things require reparation. And all these things lead to reparation. Building back our institutions, nation building, ending knife crime and on the streets. They all tie in to reparation. We have to repair those damages. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what
just 1 minute away from the top of the hour. Oh my days, those 2 hours have actually flown by so quickly. Let's go around the floor, shall we, and get some closing remarks from each of our panel members. Also want to thank everyone who's been so active in the chat tonight, making some invaluable contributions. I love what someone said, if there was a president of Kenya, we'd run them all off. Me too, we'd run them out so fast. But we don't know what needs to happen before our people are in a position of power to make that happen. So yeah, let's quickly run around the room, so to speak, starting with Dr. Abu.
What am I? Reparation, You see, sometimes when we say army, some people just say gun, but they never see the medical corps. They never see the engineer. They never see the signal. And we don't fully understand that those are the things them that make even Britain so strong, because them sending all these logistics and you. Most of the funds or whatsoever that given to Africa is not material, is advisory. You understand? You have this man sit down, the same thing what them do to us on the plantation. When the black man was given the sermon, the white man sit down right there direct it. The same thing I go on today. And until we understand how certain things run. Then we just, instead of we to sit down and organize ourselves how to get out of this, we'll sit down and organize from morning till evening. Budum.
Budum. Rise up, Dr. Abu. Prophet Maduti. Some closing remarks.
It's been a good. It's been a very good evening, and a lot of things has come out. And I hope that what we have said resonate with the people them nationally here in Britain and on a global level, that we can get together and work together for the total liberation of Mama Africa and African people globally. Otep.
Ashe.
Otep. Rise up, Prophet. And our Brothe Dulani, special guest on this topic.
Yes. Greetings and thank you for having me for the second week, and it's been very productive. I feel at home once again. I just want to my closing remarks is telling our people, prepare for the 1st of Messiah, the 1st of August. There will be an uprising. There will be some action taking place on the 1st of August. This year, our theme is defeating the Mangamizi of Neo-Colonialism with African autonomy. Now, the Mangamizi, for those new to this platform, the Mangamizi is a Kiswahili term meaning the continuum of the Holocaust of chattel colonial and neo-colonial form of enslavement of African people. So, just to clarify that, our strap line is, all roads must lead to our sacred cause of reparation. So prepare yourself, my people, for the 1st of August. Get involved. This is your movement. You need to be involved in this movement. The number to contact is 079-22-035-446. And it should be on the screen running across as well, all throughout the program. So it's 079-22-035-446. And you can also visit the reparationmarch.org website for more information. You can also visit the stopthemangamizi.com website for more information. You can also go to our Facebook page, Reparations March UK, for more information. There's a big campaign that takes place throughout the year. Last week we dealt with a lot of the council action taking place in the local council, a lot of movement taking place there with the mayoral election. There's a lot of movement taking place there, a lot of questions being asked, and a lot of political moves being made behind the scenes. So I just want to keep our people abreast on these issues. So if you want to be a part of this movement, this is your movement for reparations. It's holistic. It's not just about compensation. It also includes rehabilitation, restitution, guarantee of non-repetition, and also satisfaction. So there's a big it's a big umbrella. You know what I'm saying? It's a very comprehensive issue and it's very holistic, and it encompasses all our aspect of our lives. So yes, my people, thank you so much, Sister Shanice, and thank the African family for listening to me, and it's been wonderful. I want to say, Prophet, glad me there. Dr. Abu, it's an honor to be amongst you, Elder. Sister Queen, Sister Shanice, my respect and honor. Our people, we shall meet again, and I know that we shall meet again. Hotep in Mahat Ubuntu. Hotep.
Hotep. Thank you so much. To all of the panel members, it's been a powerful discussion. As I said at the outset, we could look at this issue of reparations from so many different perspectives. I did just that. We scratched the surface on it on a number of different perspectives. We looked at the economics, menticide, the military, the corporations, the wealth that's been stolen, the loot that's been stolen that's in the museums, the need for us to reset our mindset, the educational repairs, the cultural repairs, on so many different levels. And so what we want to say to our family is that hopefully that from discussion that we've had today, that you have gained, more of an insight into what the whole issue of reparations is all about, and why repair of our minds and why repair is so important, and why we need to be preparing ourselves as well to start rebuilding our cities, our kingdoms, and our empires. And I hope that you, that have been listening, and those of you who are watching, that you are part of the reparations work that needs to be done, because this involves all of us, each and every one of us. So we want to thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for staying with us throughout the night. I know it might be late where you are, and all being well, we will be back. I don't know what time. It's got to be, you'll know from the notices. I'll try and make it 8 p.m. GMT time as per usual. So stay strong, stay powerful, and keep doing the reparations work. More love, more Vodum family. Sister Shanice
Ashe.
and family.
Vodum.
For now.
Ashe.
Hey,
Hotep.
Hotep.